guys, Matthew Underlay here from The Embroidery Nerd, and today I just wanted to cover some live digitizing tips. So you may have noticed that I haven't been in the game for a little while, kind of on a business trip, been working a lot. I think today was like an 18-hour day or something, so yeah, it's been fun. So I'm going to go ahead, jump over to Welcome Hatch, and you're going to go ahead and see that I have my lovely design on here. It's a cute little vector art that I got from vecteasy.com, I believe. Go ahead and take a look. Yep, vecteasy.com. It's a very nice little website to get some free, royalty-free vectors from. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. There's a couple things I'm going to cover in this video, such as how to make your digitizing stand out. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. My purpose for this design is actually going to be a left chest, so just to be sewn on like a regular shirt. Nice thing with left chest designs is you can also pretty easily translate that into a patch design. So we could just beef up the outer border just a little bit, and we could get a patch made for Chicken's Kitchen, although I do feel like there should be an apostrophe in between the N and the S. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not the English major after I went to public school in Wisconsin, so it's probably not the best place to, just ramble. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my webcam, just because I'm sure you don't want to see me. So I'm going to hop over to Hatch on my screen. So now we can see this size. So currently we are looking at something that is 4.5, so 9 inches wide. That's obviously not what we want. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to make it fit inside a 4-inch circle. So I'm just going to start by making a simple circle. I usually center it, just force to habit, and then I'm going to set the width to 4. There we go. So now we can see exactly how much of this extends outside of that 4-inch circle. So the next step is just selecting this, making sure I have black squares selected, and remember which key it is to, there we go. Okay, and we're just going to keep shrinking it down until it fits. It doesn't have to be centered really, it's just as long as it fits inside of this. So now we know that our patch or emblem for our shirt is going to be within a 4-inch. So the reason why that is a good idea, let's see. I don't even have anything on here. Let's see, is there anything? We'll just do the 1010. And there's not even a... Okay, so this is a, can't even see how. It's a 4x3 by 4x3 inch hoop. So we are good. We have plenty of room for needle-wise. Not too worried about that. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that guy, and we're going to center him up. There we go. And I'm going to hit K to lock the background, so that way if I move it, I can't actually move the design. So, first thing I do when digitizing my patches is I want to start on the backmost item, because I mean, you gotta think about it. Your embroidery machine is going to start the furthest away from the top. So it's going to do the very foundation of the patch or emblems. So I need to work on either the white, if I'm going to not have it be like transparent, or you want to see the material behind it. Otherwise, I need to move on to the flame. As looking at this, the flames are underneath this golden ring. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So moving over, I'm just going to go ahead and do the flames. So because there's a nice thick border, I'm not going to have to worry too much about this. I'm just going to go ahead, digitize close shape. So I'm just going to start with my digitize close shape, and I'm just going to kind of go in the middle of my shape. And I'm just going to go just around like that, alternating between left and right clicks. As you can see in the bottom of the screen, I'm showing you what I'm doing. This is also set to a fill. If I hit S to show my stitches, you can see it's a tatami fill. Most people call it just like a fill stitch versus a satin stitch. So I got that shape done. I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to go to my next one. A quick little bit of helpful information is when you're digitizing, you don't want to zoom in too far like this. If I'm trying to place, say I'm trying to go as close to this edge as possible, I don't want to be like zooming in this far, because I mean, if you look at my ruler, I am already down to a 32nd of an inch. The actual embroidery machine is not, you're going to have a ton of thread breaks and eventually needle breaks if you keep trying to punch needles down like this. But it's not going to work. So you don't want to zoom in too far, and you're just going to kind of have to get used to what your machine can do and how far you want to zoom in. And so this is about as much as I would zoom in, which is 400%, as you can see up here. So now that I got those two flames done, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go do this one. And I'm going to overlap this orangish part and then do the same red. Just like that. And then there's a little bit sticking out behind this feller's wing. So also when you're doing this digitizing, you want to make sure that you're not putting too many points. So like you can see I only have one point in the middle. If I do this, just 1 point, that's not enough. See, it's going to get clipped off and pull comp and everything. But there's definitely no need to do something like this. That's just way too excessive. Most of the time, your machine or your software is going to tell the machine to punch down there. You don't need that. And actually, the more points you have, the less rounded your objects are going to be, or the less straight. So you want to do it with as few points as possible. It's like this. And I kind of screwed it up a little bit there. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is just add a node by left clicking it by using the edit shape tool, which is under edit objects and reshape, or you just press H. If you're unfamiliar with your shortcuts, just hover over a tool that you want and it'll tell you, like right here it says reshape H. That's the key you hit to jump to that. So if I want to do a run stitch, I can do Shift N, and that switched me to a run stitch. So that's pretty nice to know. That's how you can do some digitizing a lot quicker. So now that I have that, I'm going to quickly do some actual run stitches so that we can kind of set this up. So as we have it right now, if I hide the artwork, we're going to redo this one, then we're going to do that one, and that one. If we look at our design information, we have 5 trims. That is super duper unnecessary. We can do this with no trims. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to select right here, and I'm just going to run it just like that. And then back up here like that. and then probably going to run it down like this. And then from this point, just like that. So now we're going to have even more trims because it's not properly sequenced. So there's a couple ways we can do this. We can come over here and we can see that that is that shape and we want it after that one. So we can either drag it up just like this, or we can use the arrows. That works too. There's also another option that you can do is just select the first one, hold Control, and just click the order that you want them to come in. If you zoom, you're going to lose, it's not going to be like highlighted or show you the outline of what you have selected. So you kind of got to watch where these black dots are, and it'll kind of tell you like, oh yeah, I clicked on that one. It's not my favorite feature, but it works. Then you can do sequence by selection order. By clicking that, you'll notice that it put all these run stitches. So theoretically, if I did not screw this up, if I open this, you can see we have one trim. I'm going to go ahead and try to show you where that is. Oh, dang it. Show where connectors, true view, needle points. So a circle is where it's going to tie in and start, and a triangle is where it's going to tie out. So it's just going to run through all of that all in one go, and then it'll stop and trim. This is where you would go to the next color. So that's what we're going to do. Obviously, we're not going to be worrying about these lines running over our lovely chicken, because that will be covered by other objects. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the rest of the flame really quickly. And I'm just going to follow it just like so. And then I'm going to make that a fill. And that's that. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my object and figure out exactly what the next shape is that I need to do. So in my opinion, I need to do the yellow or the goldish part and then do the orange on top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the Digitized Blocks. The nice thing about Digitized Blocks is I'm just going to do a demonstration. Just like this. You can see how the stitch angles matched the contour that I selected. If I do H to show you my stitch angles, you can see that it happened to put stitch angle lines already where I want it. That's really helpful for most situations. Now, if I would have did it like this, something like this, you can see all of my stitches run in the same direction. When I hit H, there's only one stitch angle. So how to undo that is I would have to do add stitch angles and then actually manually do this. And you can see it just takes more time versus I can just do the digitized blocks. So just knowing what your tools are. Most software have pretty good user manuals. I know that the Brilliance one is probably the best user manual that I've ever seen for, I mean, to be honest, like any software so far. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with this. So we're going to start right here, make sure that we're going over, like, overlapping everything. Oop, that was wrong shape, so I just hit backspace to undo it. And then I can do two things. I can either stop it right here or I can keep going. I kind of want to leave it like that. And then I'm going to continue this. So I'm going to go down here actually, because it's a little bit easier to follow the curve when I know it's like where it is. And I'm just going to go like this, just like that. And now I'm going to come over here and follow this around just like this. And then here as well. Cool. So there's that shape. So now I got to do the orange. So I'm going to go ahead and select orange. And I'm just going to come up here. And I'm just going to kind of go quite a bit more than what I need to do. So now that I have that, I can come in here and I can actually add stitch angles, and I can, or actual additional stitch points, just like that. So I can cut down on some of the stitches a little bit, so it's not as dense. When I was starting digitizing, I was trying to like cut out the stitches like a lot, so I would have probably like really made this really tight against the black. I found that a lot of times doing non-standard, like just going straight across, you actually add more stitches. So I just find it easier to do that. So next thing I'm going to do is go down here. I'm going to finish this part up. So again, Digitized Blocks. And just continue going around town. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Get rid of the S that I just typed. There we go. And that's almost it, but we have this little guy down here that's hiding. So I'm just going to quickly grab the Digitized Blocks again. Just like that. Make sure he is filled. And there we go. So now I can do a couple of things, like I can test to see what it looks like if I do a satin, because satin would probably look better. The only downside is that it is not going to look all that pretty right here. So that's where we can do like auto split, but I don't think that's going to work. Other things we could do is we could put this on top of it. But it doesn't appear that satin is going to be what we're going to use. So we're going to go ahead and leave it like that. I'm going to go and do some pathing real quick. So we're just going to start on this shape, and we're just going to run it up into the middle of that one. From this piece to that one. And then that one into that one. And we're just going to go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to change the color so I can see that I have everything selected. Undo that. And then we're going to do this one as well. When I'm doing my pathing, I like to make sure that I have at least 3 points. And a nice thing we can do too is I can actually take this one off and come up here and do that one. So now I can select this one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that, and the red, not the red, orange. Now if I change it to blue, you can see I have all the ones I want selected. Hit 1, 2, 3, change it back to that color, and there you go. So I think that's turning out a bit more. I don't really, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do 2 different colors or get rid of this guy, because I want this ring to be on top of the orange. Is this all of it? No. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to move that down. I think that's better. So right now we're looking at, what's not too bad for color changes. So I get enough stuff in this one. It's not even the right folder. So I'm just going to save it just in case. And now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hide my stitches. So the next thing I would need to work on is probably going to be the wings. And then the body of the chicken, and then the hat, and then the lovely banner. So there's a couple of things to look at when doing a design like this. So it'll be more prevalent on the chicken's left wing here. I can certainly very easily just digitize. This is super, super crude. I would never digitize something like this, but just trying to demonstrate. So I can make it, that's so bad. I can make a chicken wing that looks like this, and then just do the black outline with the highlights just like they did in the vector. To me, that's a little boring. If your client is okay with it, you can spice things up a little bit. Throw some barbecue sauce on it, some good old rub, it'd be pretty good. But we can digitize individual like feathers or parts of the wing to give it a little bit more dimension. Some designs, they might not want that. Like this one, they may just want it to be simple. It might become too complex and take the viewer's eyes away from the words that they care about instead of looking at the wings. But in my situation, I am going to do the complex way because that's how I roll. So we're going to select a new shape, digitize closed shape, and I'm just going to go ahead and start on the wing. I guess I do not need to go too far into the highlighting. So just like that, I have that wing part done. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same process. Now I'm actually doing this kind of backwards than the way that I should have did this. I should have did it in reverse order. I'm just going to have to resequence it. It's just a little bit more work, but to be honest, I was going to resequence it anyways, because I'll do some pathing. That was too far. And we'll try that. So you might not be able to see anything really going on, but like if I were to do satin stitch, obviously it's not the right. You can kind of see that there's a bit more going on instead of just being a solid object. So my issue here is that the stitch angles, and if I do metric and use the measuring, you can see that it's not too bad for distance, but it's getting up there. It's 7 millimeters. 12 millimeters is when your machine is going to go bonkers. But basically, if I were to just add stitch angles like this, you can see that it may be looking a little bit better already. Just like that. And then once I do this final highlight, just like this. So I can either leave it white and just try to make that part of the design, or I can actually make it pop out. See how that works. So I'm going to do my pathing now. So I'm just going to take my runs and just run it like this. And then again, just select them all. We'll start this over. Go blue, okay, selected it all, resequence. So you can see that there's a definitive line where where it's starting and stopping. Nice thing about that is when you actually run it on the machine, you're not going to see that. I also don't know if I really care for having a different color in it. I think maybe just doing a different set of stitch angles might work for me. We'll see how that works. So the biggest thing with digitizing is it does not have to look good on the screen. If you're going with a digitizer who tries to send you designs that work or look insanely awesome on the screen, it may still sew like crap. So this is just a artifact of the software. Like, you're not going to see that once it's actually stitched. So it was like something when I started, I was fidgeting with this until that went away on the screen, and it just wasted time of my life that I could have been playing with my dog. So that's the wing there. You'll notice I haven't actually done any of the black outlines. Kind of do that after the fact. It's usually the part I hate the most because I leave it for the end. So now I'm going to go to the right wing. Well, it's left wing, I guess. And we are going to just do the same thing. And I'm just going to try to follow what I would imagine a chicken's anatomy to look like. Now, it's been a while since I have actually dealt with a chicken, so hopefully I'm doing this right. Not to his hole. So I need the wing to kind of go like this. How far is that? Yeah, that's pretty far. So there's a couple things I can do. Is I could split this up even more. That might actually be what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my knife tool. And we're just going to come in. Actually going to start up here. And just do it like that. Hopefully it went all the way. There we go. Get rid of that shape. And now I'm going to add my stitch angles, or at least I'm going to modify these. So I'm going to make it just a little bit better. And then I'm going to do the rest of it. So go back to digitize, digitize close shape. I guess I technically don't need to go that far. I'm just pulling this back to kind of save some stitches. Switch that to a satin. And then do the next one. So if I do this just to sequence it, you can see it's kind of layering it. And so instead of just being a solid wing, it is looking quite nice. The next thing I'm going to do is the next part of the awesome wing. And then again, switch that to satin and add stitch angle. And then I have one left. So what I'm going to do here is the exact same thing. You guessed it. But I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to leave a gap and I'm going to put in yet another object. Add stitch angle. And then I will come in here with another. I'm actually going to make this blue so I can see it. It was kind of hard to tell. Just like that. And add stitch angle. So now I'm going to do, so I'm going to do from right here, I'm going to grab purple, just so that you can see it. Run it over there, over there, over there. And then from here, we're going to run it up there. So now what I'm going to do is come in here, that one, this guy, that one, bam. Run back down here, do this one, run up to the ridge of the wing, not that guy, not that guy, that guy. If I change the color, you can see I have all of them selected. And there we go. That is my wing as it is right now. Make it go white. So you can see it has a lot more definition to it. Whether or not this is an anatomically correct wing. I'm not going to confirm that, but it does look pretty snazzy. So the other thing I can do is I can bring over from here into this one. So I can select that guy, that one, and then that one. Theoretically, if I click this button, yep, it layered it. So now if I go 10, if I select this one, hit tab, it goes to that object. I'll do this one, and then go straight into that. So there's not a trim there at all either. So that is super duper nice. I'm debating if I'm going to do how I'm going to do this, because I did not do this highlight. I might just expand it a bit. Let's see what it looks like. It's not too far. Fill, get rid of the auto split. There we go. I don't think that would do too bad. So then the next part is, I think I'm just going to extend these out because I'm not going to do the highlight color. I don't think that's completely necessary. So we're just going to go ahead and pull these nodes out. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab this one. And that should be good. So we get the highlights done there. Now I need to do the actual main body and neck of the chicken. So I'm going to look at it this way. So if I grab the measuring tool and I go across, yikes, it is 21 millimeters. We're definitely not going to be able to do a satin. Plus, if you do a satin, it's going to look really weird. So we're going to go ahead and just see what a regular tatami fill is going to do. So I'm just going to run down here, and we are going to go behind this wing a bit and come down here. Just like this, and it is purple. Those chickens are purple. There we go. So that is currently what the chicken will look like. There's a couple other things we can do, like we could do a Florentine effect to kind of give it a little bit of dimension to it that don't look too bad. It's very, very basic. We could modify the curvature of it if we wanted. I could come on, do something like this if I really wanted to. I think that actually looks a little bit better. We'll take it up just like that. Okay, so that's going to make me draw my eyes up to the left. If you think about like the rays of a sun, it kind of glistens off to the abyss, and your eyes are drawn towards that, or like with it. So I'm going to be looking up here. So I'm not going to be looking down here. I'm going to be looking at the face. And usually when something has eyes, that's the first thing you look to. You can test that out. Turn around on your chair for about 5 seconds, or sing happy birthday to yourself, and then turn around and open your eyes. And what is the first thing you look at? It's the eyes. So you're always going to make sure the eyes are crisp and beautiful. So the next step we're going to do is we are going to actually put this body behind the other wings. So I selected the other white just to make it a little bit easier to differentiate. I believe they are the same colors. They are. It's a copy of it. But because it's a separate color, it's a lot easier to find it. So I did place it behind, and now I got this run stitch that we had set up before. I'm still going to leave it, but I am going to move it into the border, just like that. So it's still there. It's still one stitch, or no trims. It's going to be stitched over when we do the black borders. So I already have the main body of the chicken done. So most likely you're going to be very tempted to use what is called the digitized holes. We can do that. I'm going to show you what it will do though. Okay, so I just did that. If I hit enter, you can see that I cut it out. If I reselect it and I do fill holes, it put it back in. And I'm very tempted to just do it like that. That is something we can do. And actually, in this case, I don't think it was too bad. We could simply put another stitch angle into it. And just like that, we can get rid of, where is it? Stitching underlay. Something like that. And in this case, it won't be too bad because we're putting a border on it. But in most cases, when you're doing something and you have a lot of little holes like that, it's actually going to increase the amount of stitches versus you just putting it on top of it. Because basically what's going to happen is it's going to run here and it's going to stop and run around and do a different path. So if I do this player, I'm going to speed it up a bit. You're going to see that it has to run around a lot more than versus just doing the whole thing. So once it hits that, it's going to stop. It does that. We can see it's 1,252 stitches. If I go back in here and I undo it all, copy, new design, see it is less stitches to just put that there. And then if I redo it, copy my bow tie, it's a few more stitches, but the amount of time that I save because it's not running around. Again, if I run it, you can see it just continues going along, and it's much more fluid. And then I'll come up and put the bow tie on top. Bam. It's easy. So I am going to, which method do I have right now? I'm just going to leave it like that and place it on. So the method I'm going for is I'm just stacking it. Now, if you have a complete fill underneath, say you're doing a patch and it's 100% fill, you may want to opt for cutting out objects. There's other things like if you have detailed parts, like eyes, you may want to do that as well. But because the border and the eye is a little bit thinner, you may not want to. So what I am going to do now is, now I got the red there, I'm going to go up here and do the eyeball. So I'm just going to go ahead and cheat. I'm going to grab a circle and drag this sucker into place. That's about good. Control D to duplicate. Place it in the center. Make this one a little bit bigger. Just like that. And select them. And we could do a satin. undo the split. And then the next thing I'm going to do is going to be the red. Actually, I'll do the red before I do eyes, or the other way around. So eyes, so bodies, eyes, and then it's going to do the details. So I'll do the red. Let's see, probably actually orange. Yeah, I'll do orange. So I'm going to do a little bit of resequencing. Just like that. So obviously I left a lot in there. And then I'm going to do a digitize close shape for the red. And that is all of the chicken minus the hat. So the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the hat, actually. So I'm going to do it in two ways. So I'm going to do, I want to have this highlight in here, but again, I'm not going to use a different color. Trying to keep cost down and time down. So I'm just going to go ahead and something like this. Okay, so that's one shape, and then I'm going to come over here, do this part. Just like that. And then this one here. That one. And then I'm going to do this overall shape. And then over here, and then finally this last shape. Just trying to make this not so coarse there. See what that looks like. So I'm going to grab that one, which What am I selecting? That one, and that one. Let's make them satin. That kind of gives it a bit of the highlight. And then I'm going to grab this guy, add stitch angles. Just like that. Stitch angles. And that one I would say is good. So then I'm going to do, I'm going to take these, let's see, and just set up the sequencing. That should be good. And that is almost all of the chicken, other than doing the line work. And then of course we got this down here. So what are we gonna do next? I will do the banner first. So I'm definitely not gonna do these shapes right here. There's a alternative way that I found to seem to also kind of do something similar. That method is basically just taking a run stitch and basically just go back and forth just like this. So I'm going to go all the way up, all the way back, off a little bit, but not as far, and then back, something like this. And you pretty much just do that. So, because you're not going to do a closed shape like this. Because it's not going to turn out. You can see that it's way too dense. It's just not going to work. So by doing it like this, when you stitch it, it will turn out significantly better. But whether or not we'll do that or not, we'll see. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and I got red selected. And I'm just going to do the banner really quick. That's one. And I'm going to cheat. So I'm going to do this part. And I'm going to go over halfway. And I can tell because my ruler, I'm over the 0. And hold control. Go straight down. And then back around like that. Hit enter. And now I have this shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit O to get my selection tool, select both of these, duplicate it, Control D, and I'm going to mirror it, and then I'm going to change my X to positive. You can see I just switched it to the other side. Now I can select these two, and as long as they're overlapping, I should be able to go to Edit Objects and weld them. So now I have this, and I have a banner, and it was very low effort. I did not have my two ends are the exact same, which is pretty nice. And then I can do the text, and I'm not too worried about that right now because I can either use a font and cheat, or I could manually digitize font. That's not what I'm worried about right now. So now I'm going to start working on the actual outlining and everything. So depending on what type of design you're doing, so like this patch here, or emblem, I shouldn't have the issue with. But if you have something that's well over like 50,000 stitches, you may want to be doing your lining as you're going, because your pull comp is going to be messing it up. This one should be fine because it's all completely different angles. If it's all the same fill, that's where you're going to have significant issues with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle small parts and eventually work my way up. Mainly just because I want to make sure that it is good, and I like doing small chunks because when I come back and look at it and I see a lot more progress being done, it just makes me happier. So I currently have Digitized Open Shape selected. I'm using black and I'm doing triple run. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start on my object line. That is how I do it, and I do a stitch out, and then I look at the where it drifted off, and then I adjust according to that. And you can see that I am not on the edge here, because if I do that, there may likely be a gap. You can remember that your thread, especially 40 weight, has a width to it, and that will play a factor. So I'm just going to run it back here, and I'm going to run it one click past, just like that. So it's going to go clunk, 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 and clunk, 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 and it'll just do that, just back and forth. So that is that part. So it's already looking better. Next shape I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do this eyeball. So all I'm going to do is just run around the border of it, and then I am going to end it there. So that is that one. Then I have my start and stop right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently. If I were to do a triple run, basically what I want to do is I want to do this part here and then come back. I'm actually going to have 6 runs in there, so this is going to be super thick. So that's not what I want to do. So what I'm actually going to do is undo that. I'm going to do a single run. I'm going to start it here, and I'm just going to run over to, let's see, I'm going to keep going to there, and then I'm going to run back to there, and I'm going to stop it there. So I have that. It's not going to be as thick, but I can always finish by running around once more. But now that I have that, I'm going to go back into my actual triple run. Just saves me a little bit of strain on my wrist. And I'm just going to run this around until I get to this point right here. And I'm going to stop it. So now I need to get this black shape in here. So there's a couple different ways I could do it. I could do just another triple run that runs around like this. And then I could basically fill this in. I'm just demonstrating. And I can just keep doing that until I have that whole area filled in. It wouldn't work too bad. I could also use the actual Digitize Closed Shape tool. And then do something very simple like this and fill it in. and then I could come through with a triple run and just go around it. To give it the actual setting that I want. So there we go, just like that. So that works pretty well. So basically how this is going to start is it's going to do the eye outline, do that shape, that one. It's going to go do that part, go back there, and it's going to end at this point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my single run and actually grab it. And I am going to hide my artwork so that I can see where my lines are. And I am just going to go around the eyeball. And I'm just going to do this a couple times. And I'm not going to go all the way. I'm going to come, whoop. That was the wrong one. And I'm going to bring it right here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to jump over here. So basically what that's going to allow me to do is hide or reduce one trim, because now I can start the outline of the chicken there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the pupils really quick. So there's a couple different ways to do this. Obviously I could do a just regular circles, just like that. You may notice that they look a little weird. The biggest issue you'll have with doing circles like that on satin is it may fall into the actual stitching, so it's going to disappear, especially if your stitch angles are the same. So like this, it's going to disappear, it's going to look really weird. A alternative that I found that works pretty well is something that Jeff Fuller actually showed me, is if we go ahead and we do digitized block. So I did 2 left clicks to create a square node, and then a right click at 3 and 9, and then a right click at 6 and 12. So basically what that is going to do is it is going to tie everything around into the center, so it kind of holds it a little bit. And it actually looks pretty clean, and it gives it more dimension. So I'm going to go with that one. You do you. But I am doing this. So I'm just going to move it into place. That's good. There we go. That is the chicken. I'm going to save it real quick, just for when Hatch decides to crash on me. Now I'm going to move into kind of my background stitches. So I need to remember that my actual chicken outline is going to be thicker than this, like the rest of my shapes or my runs. So I'm probably going to do 2 triple runs or 4 or 5 single runs, depending on how I'm going to do that. So basically what I'm going to do is, since I'm right here, I'm already just going to go straight into basically this shape. Just like that. And I could turn it into a triple run. And that should be pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and just fix that peak. So I stopped there. So now I'm going to grab Digitize Open Shape. I'm going to switch it to single run. I'm just going to hide it under here. And stop it right there. Grab a triple run. And go back up to here. Just like that. again, may want to increase that to 2 triple runs, and I could always make this thicker. Other things I could do is I could actually make this a satin fill. I'll just do a really quick and dirty Satin Run Stitch. So the problem with doing a line and then setting it to the run stitch or the satin stitch is you can't really change the width of it. And I personally do not like a 1 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is, like, I could technically do a 0.8. I mean, that's not bad, but the fact that it's a consistent width, I am not a fan of. So we're just going to keep going ahead and working on the rest of the shapes then. So basically I have it ended right here. We're going to go and continue it. And I'm going to run all the way around to this part right here. And we're going to change that from that to a single run. Single run. And I'm just going to do this one. And then when you, so if you leave it in single run, and you just go around, and when you finish the shape you want, and you want it to be a triple run, just hit enter, so you finish your stitch. I hit O to select the last object I did. And I can just hit triple run, and now it's a triple run. And I just hit Shift N to do digitize open shape again. And I just keep going. So then that way I don't have to keep selecting if I'm going to do a triple run or a single run. I just keep on trucking. Just like that. And then I want that to be a triple run. Bam, triple run. That is all of the flame because there is not a stitch there. I could technically see what that looks like if I just throw one on there. Sometimes it does look better. In some cases, it does not. So, again, up to your customer. If you're curious, you just run another one off with it. Or you could run it off with it and take a picture of it if you're sending them pictures, and then use a seam remover and rip that out. If it's something simple like that, that's probably what I would do. So obviously I don't have any line work to do on that one. So the next one I'm going to do is probably feel like I probably should have went back around the other way, because now I gotta go hide it. So what I am going to do is I want to do this wing next because I want to layer it, but I think what I'm going to do is actually go to this shape and then come up here and then do that, make that a triple, and then I am going to go back down just like that. And then I will select this one and I will make this triple run now. Set that to triple run. And now I am in my wing. So now I can pretty much just run it. What I'm going to do is run it back over here to the body of the chicken. And now I'm going to do a triple run. There is so much stuff in this chicken. And then continue this around. Just like that. Yeah, I'm not too fond of that. We'll see what this looks like. So do a 1 millimeter. I think I might be switching that to satins. I think that is a bit better. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do a 1 millimeter satin. There's a couple other things we could do. Like we could do a steel to allow us to, what? Oh, I selected the wrong object. I'm going to go ahead and nip this corner, just like that. Okay, so now we're right here. I need to go up to the top of the chicken. So we're going to select this and just run it right up. We're going to change it to satin 1. And now that we're kind of doing satins, actually I'm not going to do it now. We are going to continue over, starting to become quite a few stitches right here, but that's not that bad yet. So make this satin 1, and then run this guy down to here, run him up. I was just playing with this until I get it to the shape I want, just like that. I'm also going to stop it and then redo it. Just like that, and I'm just going to hold shift and select the first part of the wing to satin 1, just like that. And that is almost it. So now I'm going to run a stitch from here to up here. make this a satin one. So this will bother me. We're going from this one all the way down, back up here, and this is going to be on top of it. So what we can actually do is I'm just going to do a object here, just like that. I'm going to make it a different color so you can see it. So how I'm going to do this is that, then that one, and then followed by, come on, let's just do it here. There we go. So just like that. So I'm going to do it in that sequence. Of course, no, no, no. So it's going to come down, do that, then that one, bring it up, and then I'm going to bring it back there. This one, that shape, and that shape. So now we have that behind it, and we did not have to run all the way back around. So that worked out pretty well. So the next shape I am going to do is, since I ended right here actually, we are going to run over here. And we are going to do this part of the banner. Make that a satin 1 mil. And I'm going to nip this corner off. I'm going to do it a bit more actually. So I'm just doing this so it's not as pointy basically. But if you do that, you need to make sure that you don't mess up your other angle. So by adding a second point like that, it's now not as pointy. Takes a little bit of practice, and you also got to make sure you don't really move the mouse. But if you see it, let's see, like if I have a point here and I drag it like that, you can see that it messes. It just pointed to my screen like you can see where I'm pointing. You can see it bending right there. We don't want that. So if we add another point right before it, it cancels that out. So that's one thing to remember. So I'm just going to bring that back in. I can also come in here and I can cut off this point altogether so that it doesn't show up and doesn't poke through at all. Just like that. And now that I have this one, what I am going to do is run a stitch all the way around here. Just like that. And I'm going to make that a satin 1. Actually, I'm going to do 1.2. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker than the back because I want to make it look like it's in front. And then what I'm going to do is grab this guy, duplicate, mirror, and I'm going to do negative. What did I do? Oh, I changed the width. Negative position X. So now it is going to start here. Goes into this object. And then I'm going to finish this shape out. Just like that. I'm gonna end it. Actually, I can use the stop command for it. So I'm gonna end it right there. Hit O, not triple, not whatever it is, satin. There we go. 1.2 is what I did. And then I'm going to hit H, and I'm going to bring this red crosshair to right here. So it'll run all the way down, and it'll do a, I'll just show you real quick. So you can see it runs like that, and it comes back up. So now it's going to end right here. And now I think the only thing I have is the outside edge like this. Back to black. I could leave this a bit thicker since it is the outmost part. That is actually what I'm going to do. But I will punch this up a tiny bit, just like that. And then I will bring it down into here, like that. And then I'm going to go around satin 1, same thing. Satin 1. I feel like I probably should have came all the way around. That is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to select that one, hit tab, so I have this little guy selected. We are going to actually go. So I'm going to start here. And I'm going to run all the way around. To right there. So now, just out of curiosity, can I do it this way? It's not too bad. I'm going to, again, nip this, put a point there. And then what will happen is I will run it like that. So we're going to do this shape, this run, that run. I don't know if I have it selected. That one, that one. That should be all of it. Yep, that's all. Make that black, resequence. just like that. Close that off. And I think I'm going to make this a tiny bit thicker. So 1.2 maybe? Okay, so now it's going to end right there. You can see by the crosshair. So now I'm going to grab my stitch, or run stitch, and I am just going to go all the way around. Make that a satin, and it was a 2-inch, not 1 inch, or millimeter, definitely not inches. And I'm going to extend this one like that. Okay. I kind of wish I did this underneath that one. Still could. Pretty much all I gotta do is how I'm gonna do, so how I move objects all the way from like one object, completely different. Where is this at? I'll just black. How I move this from like the end all the way to before this is, so I want it before this object. So I'm gonna change it to blue, and now I have, this is all before it, and this is all after it. So I'm going to grab this object, and I can make it purple so I can see exactly where it is. I pulled it out, and I'm just going to drag it above the blue, and I'm going to make it black. Actually, not yet. I'm going to hit Shift and Tab. Now I know that I started there. So what I'm actually going to do is move this so that I start it somewhere else. And then I'm going to extend this guy. Just like that. And then I will have it run from here back down to there. So now I'll do this one, and where'd it go? So I hit Tab. I'm going to make this one pink. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hit Control Pink, Purple, Brown, and Blue. So now all of that is good. If I make it this yellow color, it's all selected. I'm now going to hit Resequence. You can see it's all right there. And I'm going to insert it by doing black. So now if I select this one, Tab, Tab, outside, that, and then the wing. And you can see that worked out pretty well. I am cutting off a bit of the wing there. So what I can do is I can do this. I can just simply make it a little bit pulled out of it. That does not look round. I'm just going to delete one of these points then, because again, the less points you have, the rounder it will be, just like that. And that worked out pretty well. I'm going to undo this guy. Just like that. There we go. That I think is all of, oh, except for these two. Okay, and obviously this is pretty simple. It's just creating stitch lines for it. And I usually try to exaggerate some lines. So one of them is a bit more straight and one is curved a bit more. So it's kind of like up to you which one looks better. Can make this one straighter so you can kind of see. But yep, so that is our chickens so far. Now let's take a look at this. We're going to go ahead and grab this bow tie. I'm going to move it down. I am also going to grab a run stitch and put it like this. And I'm just going to make sure that these are connected. Just like that. Bam, bam. So I'm just looking at this. So I think this is just the chicken, yep. So I hit tab to go to the next object in color 10, which is that one. And this is the chicken. So what I'm going to do is take a run stitch right here. And I'm just going to place it like that. So I'm going to go chicken, body, that one, resequence, select. I'm going to click that button and I'm going to make it all one color. So now if I hit H, I guess I can get rid of these 2 points then. So it's going to do the body first, and it's going to enter here to do the body, exit here. It's going to pick up this line, go right there, then this one, and then it'll go all the way through. I can get rid of that one. It's going to go over there, continue all the way around. What I'm going to do to get rid of one trim is I'm going to go right here. I'm going to pop in this sucker. And then from here, I'm going to pop over to this sucker. So I think it was, this one was the last one, yep. So I have that wing, that one, that eye, and that one. So I go purple, merge them, bring it back to color 10. So now you can see it goes directly to the eyeball, over to that eyeball, and saves a trim. So I think we can make this beak look a little bit better too by changing it to a satin. And I am going to split it by using the knife. Just like that. And then I think I'm actually going to change the shape of that. And then add stitch angles. Oh, I got one there. Remove stitch angles, add. And then I want that to be really swoop, just like that. Move. Bam. That's how it looks. Okay. And then, yeah, you just have some other things like doing the text. You can just simply use you can cheat, like I said earlier. We can use the lettering and monogramming just because I'm kind of getting a little lazy right now. So we're just going to do one. What is this one? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it down to here. So how I do this is you hit H to bring up this tool, and then on this line I can do by holding Control, I can select both these knobs, and I can keep them together so that they're on the same length or placement. But what I'm going to do is bring them down here. It's not the right font. To be honest, if I was doing this for a production, I would probably end up just digitizing the font myself. So there's that. Now, if you want to do the outline, there's a easy way of doing it. Basically, break it apart and then select each of these, and we'll see if it actually works in this situation. What is it? Create layouts, create outlines. We're just going to outline it with black. And we can do it kind of like that. See if that actually works or not. I think we might have to break this one apart yet. Break apart. Yep, there we go. And then I can do create layouts. It might not be big enough actually for it to work. Is that it? So I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'm just going to change it to a outline because I am lazy. So that will possibly work, and I say possibly, but I personally don't think I would even highlight it or outline it. I think I would just leave it like this. And then kitchen, this one would most likely be a hand-done one as well, but we can also do it. So it's like a handwritten font. That's definitely not it. I don't know why I'm spending so much time trying to find this. We are just going to go with this because I am lazy yet again. So make it black and hit H to modify it. I'm going to bring it up just a tiny bit. I'm going to change the font size to, we'll go a 6. I'm also going to center this on the X. I am also going to center that. We're actually going to lift it up a bit. Just like that. And bam, there you go. Get rid of this light blue. That has a pocket on it too. There you go. So that is your awesome design that you have. There's other things you could do, like we could technically make these, instead of being, what were they, triple run, we could do something like a steel, or is that what it is? Stem stitch? It's not a back stitch. I think it is just a stem stitch. We can make, that's how we can make something smaller than a, what do you want to call it? Something smaller than a 1mm that will still sew out on your machine pretty well. You can see that instead of being straight left and right, it's actually kind of slanted, which allows, so the machine is actually doing a almost a 2 millimeter length, but it's only coming out as 1 millimeter. Very rough measurements, obviously, but that is one way that you could do it. I actually think that does actually look a lot better, so I'm going to actually leave that. But that is how you can do a simple design. Obviously, just going to say that this design took a bit longer than it would normally take, mainly because I'm trying to instruct it to you. That's why it took an hour and 45 minutes now, because I'm going to keep talking about it. Once you get the hang of it, you'll understand the keyboard shortcuts. This should go a lot quicker. But I just want to say thank you for watching. If you have any questions about digitizing, feel free to join our Facebook group. We also have a YouTube channel. Depending on where you're watching this, you probably already know something about it. But yeah, we would love to see you around a lot more. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.